Hello, it's Miss Coconut. How are you doing? I'm doing well. So, listen, I was having my morning coffee. It is morning right now at the time that I'm recording this. And it was such a rainy morning. Like, it was drenched. And last night we had a thunderstorm that knocked the power out for a little while. And so I thought I would talk about water deities, and I can't really go exhaustively into the subject, but I just want to touch a little bit on some key points that I think are vital to the worship of deities, and in particular the water goddesses. Okay, and centuries ago, water worship or the veneration of the water spirit has always been prevalent in every society that inhabited any civilization by the water. Okay. And the first thing I want to tell you is that if you are in Africa versus America versus the Caribbean versus Asia, the entity or the deities that rule over the waterways are different. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. It is different, okay? So we would not call the spirit or the entity or the deity of the waters where I'm at the same thing that I would call it when I was in Jamaica. It's different, okay? Each water body or form has a different entity that rules over it. So that means the lakes and the oceans and the springs and the rivers, all different. All different. Even the rain that falls, different. I could go so deep into the subject because I studied it like 6 months straight one time. So I just wanted to share that with you. And what you want to do to begin to know the spirit of the water where you are, you visit it. You sit by the water and you ask the spirit to reveal itself to you. What is your name? What would you have me to do? Reveal yourself to me. Okay? And you would, of course, begin to give offerings. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later. So anyway, at some point when the civilizations began to grow, they understood they needed water to survive. Okay? And so they began to build their towns or cities or whatever you want to call it near the water because they needed the water for the crops to grow, to be plentiful, right? To have that bounty that was going to help take them into the seasons. They needed water. They needed water to drink, you know. They needed water to survive. They needed water to feed the animals with. And they also noticed that water had curative powers. Okay, they understood certain waters you could sit in and heal from. Okay, they understood that certain waters had a particular energy about it. And then they also understood at some point that the same water that was giving them life could also take life. It could drown a whole entire town. It could flood an entire town. It could take their loved ones. And that's why they would begin to give offerings to the deities of the sea, because from their human eyes, they felt like it was a god. It could take or give life. So they began to give offerings. And even when they dredged the seas, centuries later, they would find weapons. They would find different articles of clothing and ornaments and hair and jewelry. Because the people, the civilizations of that time were attempting to appease the gods of the water. So because they wanted to appease the gods of the water, they would definitely offer things of value. So you would see like axe. And you have to understand in those days, to be able to form a weapon was costly, okay? And in order to be able to offer that weapon to a deity was a dear sacrifice, all right? This is also why they named their ships. They had like a whole name ceremony for the ships because they wanted protection from the deities, because they understood every time they set out on voyage, it was a life or death mission. Maybe they would not come back. Also, the archaeologists when they started to dig and dredge up the seas, they would find things like human skulls, most often, obviously, besides the victims that were drowned at sea. They would also find the skulls of small children, okay, because the children used to be sacrificed to the seas to appease the gods. There is something about the innocent's blood that especially has a certain vibration to it. That's why it was used in that way. And, very unfortunately, that is something that still continues to be the case. I'm talking about the sacrifice of children. This is how the energy of this world runs. But anyway, besides that, when you go to any particular body of water, before you take anything from the sea, from the sand, it is usually a great idea to ask the deity permission, okay, to take something, because it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to that deity, that earth, that water. So get in the habit of paying homage to the spirits of the places that you frequent, and not assume just because you're a human, it's okay to take from it. And again, even though I'm talking about the feminine or the feminine divine aspect of these deities, there is, of course, a masculine or male counterpart. We're just not talking about that today, okay? Today is all about the goddess worship. All right. And so a lot of what is involved in worshiping these goddess deities is the idea that you become a humble servant of the deity. A servant not just because you want something, but a servant because you understand the power that the deity wields, okay? And you appreciate the power. You appreciate the beauty. You appreciate the vast array of offerings that the deity brings to this universe, okay? And as a follower or a practitioner, you want to begin to give offerings to the deity that you are visiting. Some of the things that you can give as an offering would be an odd number of pennies or coins, something sweet, okay? It could be syrup, it could be sugar. Do some research behind it so you can understand why you would do certain things. Some people do offer spirits, liquor of some sort. And of course, some people do offer flowers. And it can be a very beautiful ceremony. It could be a private, intimate, solo part journey. It really just depends on you. You see a lot of people wearing white just to kind of symbolize cleanliness. And so you can just make this ritual as involved as you like. You can do it once a month. You can do it as often as you can. You can go weekly, go daily if you like. It just depends. Are you near the water? Okay? And so I do say, though, whenever you get to a body of water, make a habit of bringing an offering. And at that time, you can, of course, ask for a favor. You can make your petitions known as you're throwing your money or your something sweet or your flowers. You can petition the entity to grant you a favor. You would speak that favor out loud. It is customary after you give your offerings to go ahead and bathe in the water if that's possible, or wet your feet or the crown of your head, or wash your hands in the water and simply be in the moment, okay? Be in the moment and try to do nothing else for the rest of that day. If it is at all possible, you want to make it as reverent of an experience as you can. After you come back from your ritual of offering and you may come home, you may shower and relax for the rest of the day. When you sleep, you can ask for a revelation, okay? And you want to pay attention to your dreams when you wake up the next day, because oftentimes many people have reported that in their dreams, the goddess will come to them and either give them a sign or a warning or a tip or a blessing of some sort in the dream. So you want to be careful to pay attention when you wake up so that you understand the full experience of what that deity may be saying to you in the subconscious realm, okay? The goddess of the sea veneration is probably one of the most nurturing rituals you can partake in. If you can start a group of women that can do this, that's beautiful. And if it's just you, that is beautiful as well. If you have any questions, I'm available for consultations. You can email me at crobinson4711@yahoo.com. If you just want to find out more information, you can book a session with me. I'd be happy to walk you through it. I'll be happy to craft a ritual for you if you're new to goddess worship, the goddess of the sea worship. So that's my time for today. I hope that you have a wonderful day or night or evening, no matter what time you may be listening to the sound of my voice. And as always, Om Shrim Brezi.